Hey bikers, Pierce here with Electric Bike Report, and today we have Towers Beach Babe, a low-step beach cruiser that's designed to make you enjoy all the little aspects of a casual cruise around town or on the boardwalk. I'll get into all the details of this bike and how it performed in the review, so let's get started. So the Beach Babe is going to be good for any casual rider who doesn't want to experience any discomfort when they're riding. The low step frame, the large seat, and the swept-back handlebars all add up for a very comfortable ride where you're upright and taking in the scenery around you. This is a very good bike for the casual rider who doesn't want to focus too much on performance or a lot of different gears, a lot of different features, just simply riding. So Towers Beach Babe comes with a 500-watt rear hub motor. It engages via the throttle or the 5 levels of pedal assist. I'm a big fan of this motor for a couple of reasons. One, it has good acceleration, and it also has 65 Newton meters of torque. In simpler terms, this is going to have enough power to boost you up and flatten most hills. I still had a few questions about the performance of this motor and how it stacked up to the Beach Bum 2. So we ended up going to the steepest hill in town that we could find and testing it in 2 different ways. One time I climbed the hill on throttle only, the other time I climbed the hill on the highest pedal assist level. This gave me a good idea of how this 500-watt motor performs on its own and how it performs with rider assistance. Between the 2 results, you should have a good idea of the performance of this 500-watt motor. Alrighty guys, we are at the bottom of our test hill here on this Beach Babe. This has a 500-watt motor that can produce 65 Newton meters of torque. And in simpler terms, this should have enough power and punch to boost me up the hill in throttle only. So on this test, no pedaling at all. We're gonna see what the bike can do on the bike's own power. So some really good acceleration right out of the gate there. Already up to the top speed this bike can do. That's 18 miles per hour on throttle only. So the motor's definitely whirring a little bit here, but I'm still holding good speed. I'm going 13 miles per hour. Feels really smooth. No vibrations coming from the motor at the moment. One thing I have noticed is when you're really putting this motor to the test, occasionally you'll get some vibration coming out of the motor. That sometimes will make it a little harder to sit down, but I am not experiencing at the moment. So I think that's kind of a once in a while sort of thing. But this 500-watt motor is doing well. Can definitely tell that it has a decent amount of torque that it's able to put down. And I don't believe I've dropped below 10 yet. That's a good sign. So I'm a fan of how this is able to climb a hill as far as me not having to do anything. This hill test is kind of showing me if I'm really out for a leisurely ride, I run into a steep hill, I'm not going to have to pedal if I don't want to. Sure, there are faster bikes up our test hill, but this just proved to me it has enough power to make it up the hill on its own power. So good job, Beach Babe. Okay, now we are going to conduct the pedal assist level 5 test. So this is the highest pedal assist level this bike has. I'll be pedaling the whole time, but very casually. I try and put down the same amount of effort on each of these bikes to really determine how much the bike can do. So throttle assist was solid. Let's see how this bike does when I'm pedaling. So good acceleration yet again. I think I'm gonna wanna be in a little easier gear here. And keep in mind, I'm just moving the pedals here. I'm not putting down any power with my legs other than making the cranks move around. We're going 14 miles per hour, so holding a little bit more speed through here than I did on throttle only. And I am feeling a little bit of that vibration that I was talking about right now. It does make it kind of tickle a little bit to stay seated. And I think that's just from the motor trying to help you out as much as it can. Picking up the slack of you not working as hard like I'm not right now. Coming up to another steep pitch on this hill here, going 15 miles per hour. So I'm noticing a little bit better acceleration than throttle only, which is to be expected with me pedaling as well. And it does seem like that motor will vibrate when you really stress it out from time to time, as I mentioned. It's not by any means the end of the world, but it is definitely something I notice when I stay seated. And on a bike like this, you're gonna wanna stay seated overall. It's not like it's a sprint machine. Cool, well, a little bit of vibration there. But as far as the time up the hill, I haven't checked it yet, but that felt pretty fast, especially for a beach cruiser. I did shift down. It looks like I'm in my 5th gear, so I shifted down twice just to keep that cadence pretty easy on me. I didn't wanna mash the pedals at all. But this is kind of showing me this thing is a good hill climber with the gear range it has. If I really wanted to, I probably could have climbed that hill in the hardest gear. So those of you who really have steep hills around and you don't really want to work too hard, you have 7 gears that you can climb in with the power of this motor. When I climbed our test hill in throttle only, it took me 1 minute and 18 seconds with an average speed of 13.9 miles per hour to reach the top. When I climbed our test hill in pedal assist level 5, it took me 1 minute and 12 seconds with an average speed of 15.1 to reach the top. My main takeaways are that this bike had very good acceleration from the get-go. I got up to the top speed of 18 miles per hour within a matter of seconds. Whether you're stopping at a stoplight or wanting that extra punch to get up a hill, the characteristics of acceleration this motor has definitely check the boxes for me. When I was pedaling in pedal assist level 5, I did notice a little bit of vibration and feedback coming from the motor. This went up through the saddle and caused the saddle to have kind of a vibration-like feeling that made it a little harder to sit down. I've noticed this happens when you're really putting a lot of stress on the motor, and it doesn't happen all the time. It's definitely something to be aware of, but it wasn't by any means a deal breaker for me. Another one of the things that helped me when I was on pedal assist level 5 was our 7-speed drivetrain here. I ended up shifting down twice just to ensure that I was always spinning and never having to mash the pedals on the Beach Babe. That's hooked up to a skillful derailleur, and it also has a Shimano 7-speed thumb shifter. Between the thumb shifter and the wide gear range here, I had very crisp shifting, and I also had a plenty wide gear range to climb the hill with ease. So the Beach Babe comes with a 48 volt, 14 amp hour battery that's tucked nicely behind the seat tube and fits the overall theme of the bike very nicely. While the looks of this battery fit, I wanted to know about how long the battery lasted, so we conducted what we call a range test. This range test is a test to give us a better idea of the true real-world range that these batteries provide. We do the test twice, one in the lowest pedal assist level, the other in the highest pedal assist level. When our test rider pedaled in the lowest pedal assist level, it took 75.72 miles with an average speed of 10.61 for this bike to finally die. That's pretty far, and it's safe to say you could probably cruise the whole boardwalk a couple of times if you're in the lowest pedal assist level. When I conducted the maximum pedal assist test for the range, I reached 39.67 miles with an average speed of 17.73. That's not far off the top speed of 18 miles per hour, so I was cruising pretty fast on this bike the whole time. Not to mention getting nearly 40 miles on a beach cruiser like this at that average speed is pretty impressive. Honestly, this battery exceeded my expectations. I've tested a lot of 48 volt, 14 amp hour batteries, but this one seemed to hang on to a charge for a lot longer. Those of you who don't want to run out of charge and go on longer rides, I think this battery is going to have plenty of range for you to do so. Just make sure you have it fully charged. All right, so when it comes to the cockpit on the Beach Babe, there's a few things that really ensure your comfort. One of which is this adjustable stem here. This adjustable stem is great because you can adjust forwards or backwards exactly to your preference to ensure maximum comfort. That's connected to this handlebar here, which has quite the back sweep. That keeps your hands in a very comfortable, casual position where there's not a lot of stress on your palms, and it also keeps you upright looking forward. You have your LCD display here, which is a very low profile display, which I'm honestly a fan of. There are plenty of displays that flaunt their giant colorways and how bright they are, and I think those are more distracting than anything. There's a time and place for those type of displays, and in my opinion, the Beach Cruiser isn't one of them. You're going to want to take in all the scenery around you, and a display like this isn't going to distract you from doing so. You have a few different settings on this display: pedal assist level 1 through 5, your miles per hour, and your battery life. If you go into the settings, you can also change the top speed and a couple other settings. You have Tektro hydraulic disc brakes. These are the levers here for those. I find these brakes are good, and we'll get more into detail on the brake test section of that. These Velo ergonomic grips, they're leather, they're stitched, and I find the shape of them with this little ovular shape here really helps my palm sit nicely on the bar. So as a whole, I am a fan of the positioning this bike has, and one thing I'm a big fan of is this throttle button here. Reason being is because this is a cruiser bike, there is going to be a lot of casual riders who might not be very comfortable with the throttle who are riding it. You can disengage or re-engage the throttle with that button to ensure maximum safety. You also have your mentioned Shimano 7-speed shifter here. Shimano always makes good stuff. You're in good hands with Shimano products, and you can always find replacement parts at your local bike shop. So as I mentioned, this is a good cockpit for keeping you very comfortable, and with the adjustment of the stem here and how swept the handlebars are, you should be comfortable, upright, and free of fatigue and discomfort. Here at Electric Bike Report, we like to conduct what we call a circuit test, which is a 1-mile loop that we ride in each pedal assist level and with the bike turned completely off. This gives us a good idea of what each assistance level provides, and also what the jumps are like from level to level. So one thing I noticed on this bike is pedal assist level 1 doesn't do much, which is totally fine with me. It's the first pedal assist level. You're not looking for a lot of assistance as it is. But it was very interesting to see that our test rider actually rode a little bit faster with the bike turned completely off than he did in pedal assist level 1. While this was only a 0.3 mile per hour difference, it got me thinking. And I really chalk that up to he was probably not pushing down as hard on the pedals because he thought he was in pedal assist level 1 and he wouldn't have to. I've ridden a lot in pedal assist level 1, and I can ensure there still is a little bit of assistance, but just keep in mind, if you do want a little bit more help, pedal assist level 2 or 3 are probably going to be better options for you. Each jump, for the most part, is in between 1 and 2 miles per hour. And as you increase pedal assist levels, there isn't one jump where it feels like you're going to blow off to the back of the bike. In the highest pedal assist level 5, I was only 0.2 miles per off of the top speed of 18 miles per hour, which really shows in the highest pedal assist level, this bike is doing everything it can to keep you as close to the top speed as 18 miles per hour as it can. The jump from pedal assist level 4 to 5 wasn't quite as big as the others, but that's okay. This bike has a top speed of 18. At some point, some of that power is going to taper off. And in conclusion, if you want a lot of assist and to ride at high average speeds, pedal assist level 5 is your guy. If you want a little bit of assist, I wouldn't recommend pedal assist level 1. I'd probably go in level 2 or 3 to still feel like you're riding an e-bike. Here at Electric Bike Report, we like to conduct what we call a brake test. The brake test is 5 total tests from 18 miles per hour, and then we take the average stopping distance it took pulling both brakes at the same time. Normally this test is done from 20 miles per hour, but the Beach Babe is limited to 18. It's its top speed, so that's where we're doing the test from. This bike comes with hydraulic disc brakes from Tektro, and they're hooked up to 160 millimeter rotors front and rear. By the end of this test, you should have a good idea as to how the stopping power of this bike is, and if we feel it's safe or not. So let's get started. Alrighty guys, so I just finished up the brake test. That was 5 total tests, all from the Beach Babe's top speed of 18 miles per hour. It took me an average of 19 feet to stop, which isn't half bad when you consider this bike only has 160 millimeter rotors front and rear. I wouldn't mind seeing a little bit bigger rotors on the future Beach Babe models. More stopping power and less stopping distance is always nice, but I think our results are respectable. The main thing that I liked about these brakes was how consistent they were. All of my stopping distances were within a foot of each other, and they averaged out to 19, as I mentioned. Once you figure out the way these brakes feel, I would definitely deem them safe, mainly because they react the exact same way every time. Alrighty guys, so it's been a fun day testing and reviewing Tower's Beach Babe, and I want to talk to you more about my overall impressions of the comfort and also the handling of this bike. So when it comes to the comfort, as you would expect, it's a cruiser, it is a very comfortable bike, partially due to the Velo Comfort saddle and ergonomic grips. Both of those were easy to sit on and hold on to for long periods of time without much fatigue at all. Normally I prefer a little bit thinner saddles, but the shape of this saddle still worked very well with my sit bones, whether you're an experienced rider who's used to sitting on a seat or someone who isn't very experienced and just wants to get out for a casual ride. I think this seat will work for just about anybody. The handlebar sweep is also very nice for keeping me upright and keeping my wrists in a neutral position. This makes my wrists, elbows, and arms as a whole not get any fatigue at all. It's very easy to support myself being upright and looking forward, which is great because part of cruising around on a bike like this is observing and taking in the scenery around you. The handlebar is a little bit thin. I did feel some flexing here and there when I was riding the bike a little harder, but I also understand this bike isn't meant to be a performance-oriented bike. It is a casual bike, and if you do use it in the intended way it is supposed to be used, I don't see the handlebar width being an issue whatsoever. I think the aesthetics of this bike are very clean. It takes more than one look at it to really tell it's an electric bike, in my opinion. And I think Tower's doing a good job with their frame builds and kind of building a sturdy bike as a whole with beach cruising and casual commuting in mind. So as far as how this bike handles, I think it's very easy to corner. I hopped on and I noticed this bike is very easy to balance on. I think that's partially due to those handlebars I keep bringing up. A wider arm base is going to help you balance a little bit more than a thinner bar would. The thinner the bar, the harder it's going to be to stay in a straight line. So if you're casual, you're kind of tentative and a little bit more timid on a bike, I think you'll feel very at home on this bike, especially with the little bit bigger seat, the cruiser style pedal position, and the geometry that I keep talking about as a whole. Another thing that I like about this bike is these Wellgo barefoot pedals. Because it's a beach cruiser, they've put pedals on this bike that you're able to use with your bare foot. I've tested a lot of beach cruisers that don't have beach cruiser oriented pedals, so I thought that was a very nice touch from Tower. These Schwalbe Fat Frank tires have proved to be puncture resistant with over 100 miles of testing so far. And I don't want to jinx anything, but they've stood the test of time. And if you keep this bike on road or on the boardwalk, I don't see you getting very many flats at all. I was very impressed with the range of this bike, getting over 75 miles in the lowest pedal assist level and nearly 40 in the highest. Proved to be a very solid real world range that was honestly a lot farther than I was expecting out of this 48 volt, 14 amp hour battery. These hydraulic disc brakes also proved to be pretty solid. I was very happy to see the hydraulic Tektro disc brake setup on this bike. They're a lot better than mechanical brakes, and it's simple as that. If you need to stop really quick, hydraulic brakes are going to do so. I wouldn't mind 180 millimeter rotors on this bike just for the additional stopping power, but honestly, the 160 millimeter rotors are just fine. So if you're someone looking for a casual cruiser that doesn't want to spend a lot of money, that wants a bike that can flatten hills and keep you comfortable for long periods of times, I would definitely recommend looking into the Tower Beach Babe. It's comfortable, it has enough power to flatten hills, and the battery range proved to be quite spectacular. With all of that being said, I hoped I could be of help today, helping you decide if the Beach Babe is the right bike for you. If there was any questions you had left unanswered, be sure to check out my written review in the description below. I go a lot more in depth there, and I should cover just about everything on this bike in great detail. Also, leave me a comment what you thought of the review. I always love to interact with you guys in the comments. Your loyalty to our channel does mean a lot to our team. Be sure to leave a like and hit that subscribe button. That also helps us a lot. And yeah, this is Tower's Beach Babe. It is a solid beach cruiser for anyone who doesn't want to spend a lot, that wants to get out on a casual ride. With all of that taken into account, my name is Pierce with Electric Bike Report, and I'll see you next review.